right, I have returned. And as promised, let's take a look at Dialogic 2, what it's about. Now you can download the zip. Is it not in the in here? Nope. That would explain it. How did I so I must have it must have been that Reddit post. However it was I found this. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Here we are. So it also adds a tab to the thing. And it has a very fancy the editor has a very fancy like sidebar and things, a timeline, character. Let's get back to this. I do want to, besides making sure that it's going to do what I want to do and it makes sense to me, I also want to think about, like, is this something I would want to use for a real game, for something more complex? Does it have the capability? So, like, it looks like here for Dialogic we have just a set of like dialogues, and then we have scripts, but it doesn't have like a sample bullet note. What's up with this? It's up to you to implement the actual dialogue rendering and input control. Let's see. Yes. There's a create copy of example dialogue balloon in project tools. Let's see. Okay. Using dialogue in your game. You can call show dialogue balloon. Okay. But you don't like register the characters or any of that stuff. That's just like up to you to dispatch the right dialogue for the things. Whereas Dialogic 2 seems to have some more capabilities. Okay, and it has like interesting timeline, character clustering styles, variable settings, a more sophisticated editor. Although I think the idea is that switch to text means that you can write your dialogue as like a textual description, like you can with dialogue. Yeah, so you can create characters like this. You can display your own image, of course. Could be fun. Okay, add dialogue to your game. Have nodes that can display our timeline to start the execution of the timeline. Okay, so we Dialogic.start timeline name or path. Okay, so events. So we're checking for a key being pressed, and then we can start some dialogue, right? Hey, brainless. Hello. What are you doing with that knife? Huh? How's your Sunday morning been going? Running? You get running with the knife? Yes. Not running anymore. Alright, so it's interesting. This introduction feels a lot lighter than the one in the other dialogue tool. Right, so where were we? We're here. And much more concrete, like because this one doesn't provide the editor tools like Dialogic tools. And I think this is like drag and drop. If I guess we can find out. Dialogic nodes. Custom nodes provided by Dialogic handle presentation of your timelines in your game. Usually this means Dialogic will add a layout scene made of Dialogic nodes. This is what happens if you call Dialogic start, and it can be set in the style editor. Okay. Timeline text syntax. Okay. Timelines are saved in a text format, which means you can use any text editing software to edit and create them. The built-in text editor provides useful auto-completion and syntax highlighting. Okay. There are shortcode events. Okay. There's special events. Okay. Character event. We still have conditionals, and I'm assuming you were not literally running while you were typing here in chat with a knife. So if you were, that would be odd. But also hope you're okay. I assume you're kidding though. Yeah. Create timelines in code. Okay, so that can be programmatically done. Look at that. All right, character event. What is a character event? It's used for characters that have portraits. It allows joining, leaving, updating them, and configuring how they appear in the game. Interesting. So Dialogic here seems much more sophisticated, much more featureful. There we go. More featureful than the other one. And I might be interested in kind of like exploring what we can do with this. Dialogic signals and what a brain will say. I'm just sitting in bed with hot chocolate and a Monster Energy drink. Not so. Waiting for the AC to warm. Waiting for the AC to warm the room as it's cold. I see. That's interesting to me, just because at least in the U.S., maybe other places, air conditioner is usually described to a thing that is exclusively for cooling a room. And then we might say like a heater, a space heater or something. Although heat pumps as a thing are more popular. They can both heat and cool. Alright, the signals event is used to inform code outside Dialogic that something's happened or should happen. Interesting, is basically a thing that goes on the wall and can send either cold or hot air inside. Yes. So presumably, like a heat pump, I assume. Of some variety. Like my house, I have a furnace in the basement that blows. You know, it's a natural gas burning furnace that blows through ducts to the different floors of the house. And then I recently, because I had to get the furnace replaced, I was considering a heat pump, but it would have been quite a bit more expensive and involved to replace the gas furnace. So we now have a separate air conditioning unit, which is the cooling aspect of it, whereas the condenser is installed outside, and the blower that's located next to the furnace can also blow cold air from the air conditioning unit. Okay, so there are timeline ended and started signals. Cool. And lots of kinds of signals. Okay, cool. Pausing. You can just pause the dialogue, but it doesn't pause the scene tree. Saving and loading. Saving subsystem allows you to save and load Dialogic timeline states, game thumbnails. Okay. So you could, if you have a very dialogue-heavy game where you want to be able to just like, oh, I'm in the middle of this dialogue, I want to save right here, or you want to have something where it's like Iron Man, where once you've made a decision, you can't save scum it. Saving visited events. Yeah. So, characters and portraits. Okay, so we've seen this screen. It says, I had the weirdest and very scary dream last night. I dreamed that my work laptop's hard drive got corrupted. My last backup was days ago, and you were trying to recover some recent work. Yeah. Death Row, hello. How's it going? I had something that wasn't a dream. I was saying this earlier, but maybe you weren't here yet, which was that I finally took the next step in my just abnormal dreams. I mean, that is kind of I feel like that's a kind of a normal dream of like the specifics are relevant to your situation, but the idea of like doing something and losing progress, I don't know, it feels very like, you know, a very relatable kind of nightmare. But anyway, so what I was saying was though, as I've taken the next step in my getting to Linux. You never remember a dream. Interesting. I had a dream I was working late, so I woke up and started working late. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say once a year, but I think it's pretty infrequent as well for me to remember a dream. Yeah. So I discovered that I had an extra 2 terabyte SSD sitting over in a external hard drive enclosure thing, and I went and there wasn't a lot on it. There was some stuff that I have a spare like hard drive in the computer that's just like it's a slow hard drive. So I moved what was left over on that SSD onto that, and then I swapped them, so I had an empty disk on the computer. So that's what I did yesterday. Is I swapped the hard drives. I put the old slow hard drive into the external enclosure and put the SSD in the computer, and I installed NixOS on it. And so now I am dual booting Windows 10 and NixOS. So that's where we're at, and I got a bunch of stuff installed and working, and it's not quite complete yet. Yeah, NixOS. Yep. Which is what that was the last distro I was using before Windows became my main OS a number of years ago. So basically switching back to it. It's you've been thinking of giving that a start. It's weird because the configuration of the system is much more declarative. Like, you don't edit files in etc. You don't you have to use the package manager for everything, because like installed libraries and executables are all installed in its immutable like installation structure. So it's challenging to hand compile things without loading it into the package management system, of which I don't completely understand yet, even though I used it for a number of years before. I basically skated by on like prepackaged things because they have a a huge library of packages you can install through the system. But yeah, so I imagine at some point I will be. I need to migrate Minecraft settings, and I need to migrate OBS settings and a few other things over to it. But I spent most of the day. One of us, yeah. I spent most of yesterday actually, in that, just like watching YouTube videos and doing stuff on GitHub and just that sort of thing. I was kind of worried for a little bit because after the install, especially once I got Firefox running and like copied over my 24 tabs, I would see like the whole computer would just freeze up for like 5 to 30 seconds randomly, and it kept happening more and more frequently. But once I got the Nvidia drivers and stuff for my RTX, that resolved itself. So just like whatever base compatibility driver that it uses by default, wasn't that happy. But yeah, other than that, once I got that sorted out, pretty stable. So, and I feel like a much easier install than back in the day. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it was much easier to deal with than last time around. Although I've not. I did launch GT&H, modded Minecraft in it, but that's really the only thing that really used like graphics other than watching videos in that install. So I always say next time I will not buy with Nvidia. Sure. But Nvidia. Okay, so shall we just try to use this? Let's try to install. We're gonna go Dialogic releases. Let's not use the alpha. Oh, maybe we will use the alpha. Not the final alpha, as it turns out. Okay, so interesting. Okay, so this is all the stuff we were looking at was for Dialogic 2, and I guess they're in the process of releasing it. So, let's get on board. Don't look at my downloads. Okay, so we want to copy. Dialogic. Yes, taking notes. Let's see. Extract add-ons folder. It contains move the add-ons folder to Dialogic project full. What does it mean? Surely it means that I want to put it inside of add-ons. Let's see. Can I open File Manager? Paste. So at some point, this will finish extracting from the zip. We will have Dialogic inside of the add-ons folder of our project. Here we go. We're importing things. And we crashed Godot. Yay! All right. Try that again. Failed to load many things. It's not a good sign, I feel. I have this folder, Res Add-ons Dialogic. Yep. And then we'll enable the plugin. Compilation failed. Let's relaunch Godot again. One thought I had is that maybe it started trying to import things while not everything was in place yet. See, that's better. So we have let's just double check here. We have project settings, plugins, it's enabled, right? So if we run the game, nothing should change yet because we're not doing anything with the plugin, the add-on. All right. We should probably do something about the the world background. It's not quite right, especially It's fine here in terms of the parallax, but like once we go too low, less so. All right, anyway. We will refine things over time. Okay, so, yeah, and we start Godot, great. Okay, meeting the editor. So we should have a tab called Dialogic. Hey, all right, we do. Okay. And we can add a timeline, add a character, reference manager, play timeline. So we're gonna create a timeline. We are going to create a folder called dialogue, I guess. Timeline 1, for lack of a better name. We're just playing around with stuff, right? We're just figuring out how things work. Let's switch to the text editor. So there's a text editor and a visual editor. It's pretty cool. Create a character. That character button in the top right. Top right, you say? Oh, is it this? Add character. Okay. We're gonna make a test NPC character. All right. His nickname is Testy. We're gonna add a portrait. How do we? Let's see. We'll grab an image from assets. Okay, let's do. I can share this if I move the thing. All right. So we have our sprite sheet. Oh yeah. Okay. So let's grab. Okay. Put that inside of assets. I can't type paste. Let's click and drag. That works. Okay. Can I take this and put it there? There we go. scale offset mirror. Does nothing, apparently. Oh. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, well, I'll have to look into that later. Default. Okay. Sure. Typing sounds. You can add typing sounds for the dialogue. Anyway, lots of options, which is what the appeal to this was for me. Like, it feels like you could definitely do your visual novel style game with this. Okay, so we have things. And then what else do we do? So once the character is created, you'll see the character editor, which is what we were just playing around with. And we can add dialogue. Okay, to have nodes that can display our timeline to start the execution. Well, let's actually add character. Okay, and then text that test NPC will say. We'll just say hi, and then we want to have a let's say I have a sword if you want it. Brilliant dialogue, I know. And then a choice. Yes, please. Yes, indeed. RPG epic sword. Yeah, well, I have to get an image for sword. I want to die. There we go. Great. Awesome. And then we're gonna call something based on this choice. Oh, so we pick an auto load, and on the auto load we can do something. We can call a method. Cool. So on game manager, how does this work? We're gonna make a function. Now, should this actually be here or somewhere else? Give player sword. Yeah, cool. So now, here we go. What does this do? Oh, we can add arguments. Nice. Okay, cool. And that's the choice. All right, so what does play timeline do? There we go. All right, so that's what that looks like. If we just, like, within the dialogue. Nah, I want to die. Awesome. Okay. So, we switch back to the 2D here. Then, how do we... So we go back to the docs here, and it says, when we want to have something happen, have nodes that can display your timeline to start the execution timeline. Dialogic provides a method that is both dialogic.start, timeline name, or path. Okay. So, I think for now, do I have an input here? No. So we're going to add... we'll use F. Actually, can we ask if the key is how do we do that? Dialogic default action. No. Let's do that. And I don't think we need is pressed. Do that, and then we'll add a key. Input map. Oh. Okay, that's that stuff. Cool. We will add a new action. What did I call it? Game interact. Add a key binding to that, and it's going to be F for me. Press F to interact. Will be it, because that's where E would be, right, on someone else's keyboard. Okay, so if I run this and I press F once we're in the game, we should see here. Excellent. That's what I wanted to do. And then what we'll do is we will call dialogic.start. Timeline 1. I did call it timeline 1, right? Over here. Yep. Cool. So now when I run this, we're not yet at the point where we'll like go to the NPC to interact with them. I press this, and then I want to die. So what happens if okay, so it doesn't pause the game when we're in the dialogue. Could be dangerous. I want to die. Okay, so if I go here and I do this and I just sit here, what happens? Interesting. So, I don't think we can just pause. Well, let's look at the docs. Can we? Pause it. Yeah, that pauses the dialogue. How do I make it? Can I make it so that? I don't think I would want to pause the game. It's kind of cool to have things going on behind the scenes while you're in the dialogue. But instead, I want to make it so that the player dying will exit the dialogue. So maybe Dialogic dot. Well, what do we got here? Set, remove, queue free. I mean, I could read the docs, but it's fine. We'll just look at all the different methods. Probably not a get or an is. In timeline. It's appropriate. All right, so when I do this, and I die, there, that ends the dialogue. All right, so now we got all that. Let's save our progress here. And then the next thing we'll do is make it so that the player can only enter into the dialogue when they are adjacent to the NPC. Really thinking about the commit message for this. I probably should just let's not. Let's do get status, get add fonts. Yes. Add Dialogic. Should be a little bit more manageable for it to there we go. Add compressed texture imports for update. Okay, that's not really the most relevant thing. Usually what I'll do for these, if it has a hard time, is I'll just break down what we're trying to do here. We'll add the relevant parts. Test NPC character and timeline, implement player sword interaction. All right, and then I add the rest of the stuff. And commit. Okay. So I'll push that up, so that's available. If anyone wants to look at that. And yes, so let's go to the player. And we are going to something. I think I said this before, but I think what I'll do is I'll add some rays. Yeah. Let's do that. So I'm gonna add one ray. Raycast 2D. And let's see. So let's go back to the game. Something I want to check here. So we have an NPC. It doesn't have an area. Add an area to it. And NPCs will be on layer 4. And don't collide. Right, so this is just so that on the player, the raycast here, which is going to be an NPC detector, is going to be on collision mask 4, right? So collide with areas. Yeah, I think so. We can set this to, this doesn't need to have an offset. Sleep parent enable, okay, that seems reasonable. And then what I think I'll do here is that we're going to solve a problem that that also exists, which is that export var direction. Yeah, 1. Okay, now we have an issue because we shadow. Okay, let's do direction. Right, okay, got it. So then we say direction. Yes, right? So if velocity, actually no, maybe. No, it should be based on move direction, not velocity, right? So if you are moving, if you're trying to go one way, but you're, you had inertia, right? We want to face in the direction we're trying to go, not facing the direction of the inertia. Although that's not really a thing, is it? With this, that only happens if you are, if you're not trying to move in a direction. So in other words, we're going to directly link the user's input, whether they're wanting to go left or right. If move direction. If they are providing an input, then we face it in that direction. Which means that all we really need to do is we need to say direction. Assign move direction. Right. So the difference here is that move direction is numbered between -1 and +1. Direction should be either only -1 or +1. It can never be 0. So if there's no move direction, we don't update the direction, and we preserve the direction the player was last trying to move in. Then all of this is unnecessary. We just say sprite.flip. If direction is less than 0, so if it's -1, then this is true. So we flip horizontal, which means it flips the character, the player looking left. Okay, that's great. That's going to fix an issue that we had, where after we stop moving, we go back to looking right instead of continuing to look in the direction that we were going. Then let's grab. Come on, ready. This is NPC detector. Detector, I can spell. This is a ray. Raycast UD, NPC detector. There we go. And based on the move direction, actually, here's something. Yeah, we don't need to update this right flip horizontal unless direction changes. And that can only happen if we are here. True or not true? Like, do we even need to have direction as a thing? Like, could we not just do this? Get rid of this. And then we do NPC detector. I don't know. Does this have a flip? No. Target position. Dot X. This. Except there should be like sign of move direction. Like we wouldn't want the length of the ray to vary based on movement. Just the actual. What does 50 look like? Not right. 100 is too far. I guess 100 is fine. Okay. Do we get like a signal? No. So we need to check if the ray is colliding. Just seeing if we have any other like collision check stuff for that elsewhere. But yeah, we'll do this down here. If NPC detector is colliding, we're not going to do any of this. We're going to print, I swear, NPC detector, there you go. All right, so, and the reason I'm not worried about like, oh, is it in this group or whatever, is because we are using specific layers, right? So the Raycast 2D is masked on a specific layer that we're only putting NPCs on. So we know it's only going to collide with an NPC. I think. Alright. Let's see what happens. Okay, well that didn't work. But in other news, yeah, our idle animation has a little glitch there, I can see, but it is at least continuing to face in the right direction. But we're not getting an output. It's not colliding for reasons that are going to be obvious here in a second, I think. Go back to game or area. We didn't set a whatchamacallit, collision shape 2D. That'd be why. So then we have a shape. This is going to be a, I mean, it doesn't need to be capsule. We'll just do a rectangle. There. Oh yeah, Alt. There we go. Okay, cool. So now this should work. And we'll see something printed in the output once the player gets close to it. A lot. Once per frame, right? Okay, and when we face the other way, it does. Okay. So like when we are facing to the right, we don't, yeah. Also, I think, I'm going to change the idle animation for our player. We're going to just get rid of that frame. Just have a single frame. There we go. It's going to be a little less weird. Cool. All right. So, let's see. There was an example in here in getting started. If dialogic current timeline is not equal to null, return. Right? Wait. We don't want to do this quite yet. What we want to do is we don't even want to do this here. Yeah, no. We don't want to do this here. What we want to do is when we get an input, do we though? I think there's a couple of things, right? One is that I did want to make it so that there's some indication on screen that you can interact with the NPC. Okay, let's add it to do. To do, find the NPC that the player is facing, and trigger interaction based on that NPC timeline. So when we look at dialogic.start, it just takes a something. Let me look at the definition of this. Okay, start timeline. Timeline is a string, or it is a. If it's a string, we get the resource. If it contains res, then we load it, otherwise we call this. So we get timeline resource, returns a dialogic timeline. So try not to lose track of what I want to do here. So we have the to do here. We're going to come back to this. What I want to do now is I want to pursue converting our test NPC. We're just going to call this NPC, and we're going to save branch as scene. Go into entities. We're going to go create a folder called NPC. Save that. We're going to call this specific instance test NPC. And then we're going to create a new script. How I want to do this. Let's go here. Attach a script. It's going to be npc.gd. Okay, and it extends animated sprite 2D. We're gonna, I guess we can give it a class name of NPC. And what do I want to do here? I want to provide. Do a dialogue timeline that is a dialogic timeline. Yeah. The idea being that, like, okay, so you have this script, and that means now you have this selector, and we can select timeline 1, right? So now timeline 1 is associated with this NPC. And there was something else I wanted to do, which was to like indicate that this NPC is highlighted. is interacting. Var is targeted. And then collision shape area 2D has signals that we can receive where we say well, here's a question, right? So if you look at this, we after this, we okay, something I don't know. If I say body entered, I go here, and I say print. Okay, so let's just see that. Go back to here, save all this, and I run this. Does the ray... I don't think the ray will cause that signal to be triggered. Also, I broke the other thing. Why? Collision, layer 4. Oh, because there's not a mask. So when I look at NPC detector, collide with areas. Right, but this doesn't have, it's not on a layer. It's only has a mask. So it can detect collision, but it cannot cause it, right? Oh. So that suggests that what I need to do is not try. There you go, let's not try. No, I need to make it so that, let's get rid of the signal. Disconnect. And we will provide a method. Target. Something like that. That the player will call. All right, so I'm going to take a break here. I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll keep working on NPCs and dialogue stuff. So.